Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how I built a cabin for a movie set out of an old fence. So I'm sitting here in this cabin that I built. It's the middle of winter and it's Montana, which means it's cold. And I had a heater going a little bit ago, but unfortunately that interfered with the audio. So if you start to see my breath, well, that's just Montana character for you. So I'm doing this video because, well, a couple reasons. One, I haven't done a video in a while because, hey, 2020. I actually had a lot of plans for 2020 and well, let's just say these are my plans for 2020. Those went out the window. I had this film that we were going to do called The Survivors, The Legend of the Black Rider, which is why I was building this cabin. And that got canceled. And so everything went on pause. And but halfway through the year, I decided I'm going to finish it anyway, because whether I use it for a film or I don't, I'm going to keep it. When I get done with the film, if I do one, I would put it back in my yard and use it for a shed or something like that. So I thought maybe the process of building this might be appealing to two kinds of people. One, a low budget filmmaker like myself who has, hardly any money, thus low budget, and can see how we could build an actual full set out of materials that you could scrounge up. And the other audience this might appeal to is, well, maybe these people that do the actual, I've seen these videos that people do like bush, craft type stuff where they build stuff out of nothing. Maybe that will appeal to people like that as well. The materials of this cabin started out as a fence, like I said, and it was actually my neighbor's fence. And back in 2019, I just happened to be helping my neighbor out and stumbled across the wood in her yard. And I said, "Hey, you kept that old fence?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what are you gonna do with the wood?" And she said, "I'm just looking for someone to take it." I said, "Well, I'll take it." And there started the project of building this thing, this cabin out of the old fence. But one of the thought processes on this thing was it needed to fit in the back of a pickup truck or a flatbed trailer. And the reason for that was because I was going to build it here on my property. I'm actually in my backyard right now, and it needed to be taken apart and then reassembled on location. So the front of this thing is 12 foot wide by 7 foot high. The back is 6 foot high. And being built in 4 foot sections, being able to come apart like that, it should be able to fit right into the wheel wells of a pickup truck if necessary, because the location that we're hoping to reassemble this thing on is a racetrack in Wyoming that is very rough, and we're not going to be able to get a trailer up on the main location, so it's going to have to fit in pieces in the back of a truck and then carried down a hill and put back together on site. So most of the wood in here, as you'll see as I walk you through with the pictures and the different video that I've done, you'll see that it's built all out of reclaimed wood with the exception of the back and the roof. But it's a very simple setup. I literally built, each 4 foot wide frame and then cut the old fencing material, which is just old cedar, and cut it to length. And then I kind of spaced it out like you would kind of like a porch in a way. So it has these little gaps in it. And the sides are, again, like I said, it's 10 foot deep, and there's 2 4 foot sections on either end of the walls, and in the very middle of the side walls there is a section for the window, and that's a 2 foot section. And that was built purposefully so that on set, if I need to, I can take that middle section out and film through the side of the cabin without having that section in my way, to give myself a little more space between me and the actors from the inside. Because once you're inside this thing and you got a camera going, you start getting tight. And so being able to remove that wall would be good. And so now the roof of this thing is actually reclaimed material with the exception of the lumber. The actual lumber is brand new. I ran out of used 2x4s at a certain point. I had to buy new wood. And when that happened, the new wood looked very different from the old wood. So I actually had to kind of cheat, and I started spray painting using rust oxide and some brown primer to kind of give it that aged look, at least on film, to help it blend a little bit. And then the metal roof is actually from a shed that I am currently tearing down in my backyard. It's getting kind of old and dilapidated, and it just needs to go away. And so I thought, well, that metal could be useful for this. Perfect. So going to make it so that it works on this roof. And probably one of the most difficult pieces was actually the sides here, where the side walls actually meet the roof, because I had to figure out a way to have it come apart. I couldn't build it the way you would build a normal sidewall. I had to build it in a couple of sections that could be, again, put in the back of a truck and then come together, and from the outside look like it belongs together. And then one of the other things I had to solve was how I was going to seal it up. It's not exactly sealed perfectly. It's got a lot of cracks in it. Again, if I ever reset it back up in my yard, I'll finish it off and seal it up the right way. But just to get me through for this film set, I needed to fill in the cracks that was between the spacing on the walls. And so what I did was I took whatever pieces of wood that I had left, and I actually offset on the inside to cover those cracks, except for the back wall, which I ran out of wood. So I used cardboard. Hey, you do what you can. So the front door was originally conceived as a burlap canvas. I didn't originally think that I would have it have a door on it, because I thought it would just be very, very scavenged together, which, you know, maybe it could be, but I decided that a door would be really cool. I just really wanted it. There's some thoughts that I had for the filming of it that I wanted to have a door for. So I built that out of an old piece of plywood and the old reclaimed 2x4s from the fence. And then the front windows, there was some debate as to whether or not we should have them be regular traditional shutters that open up sideways or up. I was 50-50 one way or the other, and I actually took a vote from some friends of mine in the group that was going to be involved in the film, what their opinions were. And going up was decided was different than normal, so that's what I did. And then the side windows, like this one you see behind me here, and there's one across from me, I just took and used the canvas material that I was going to use on the door originally, cut it to size. I took a 2x2 on each end of the material, rolled it around it, stapled it in place, and then fastened it to the framework on the top of the wall with just regular old screws. And then they open and close on a very primitive way. You literally just roll them up and stuff them into the crevice of the wall, and when they unroll, the weight of the 2x2 kind of holds it in place and doesn't allow it to flap around too much unless a big wind comes up. But very primitive, but effective and works. All in all, I'd say I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I mean, considering it's all mostly built out of reclaimed wood, and I mostly built it by myself. I had a little bit of help here and there with my sons. They'd help me hold a wall up now and again, but for the most part, it's my own hard work and grind of doing this thing. So you can say it's a labor of love. And it goes to show you that with a little bit of imagination, that if you're a low budget filmmaker and you're doing an apocalyptic film, or maybe even a horror film, this would be really good for a horror film, A Cabin in the Woods. But you could do something for little or no money. So I hope you enjoy that, and we'll see you in the next video.